Welcome back to the 10-second runoff powered by Culture Media with your hosts, Joe Mitchell and Alec Escade. Look, man, we did include Vandy in our locks last week. Had we just taken money line, we would have been good. We took them to win by 9.5. They didn't. They blow. Yeah. They're atrocious.
Really bad at football.
You have our word. We will never, ever, ever include Vandy in a lock again.
Yeah, dude.
Not bad with the Miss Jackson cameo.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Miss Jackson. Oh, but anyway, so, yeah, dude, well, I'm not giving them the time of day. Let's move on. Vandy at the very end of the game, we thought we had it. A lot of our, fans, people, whatever you want to call them, bet it. And, dude, it was a whirlwind of emotions.
Yep.
For the last 4 minutes of the game.
The last 4 minutes of the game.
I want to say the F word, but I'm not going to do it. They suck.
Yeah.
They're really freaking bad.
Yeah.
So
they were hanging the scoreboard up with cranes.
Yeah.
USC, they won in dominant fashion. I'm not going to say they looked great. Their offense looked good. Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams. But, they have no run defense, so that's scary. They gave up 198 rushing yards to San Jose State. They did have a sack on the day, 7 tackles for loss. So, that's one silver lining for me.
I almost can't even give you that. It's rough, man. Because usually when you have stuff like that, you end up forcing turnovers and, you don't give up 28 points. Dude, their defense is an issue.
Yeah, but
we'll get into that. But
you say 28 points, but it was garbage time towards the end of the game. It was 56-21 at one point, or late. That's not a game.
Yeah, no. But we knew it wasn't going to be a game.
Right.
We knew they'd run away with it offensively. But last week we predicted them to score 7 to 14 points.
Yeah.
And to see them do this, dude, USC got all these freaking transfers, man. Where the half of the country's man, they might have a defense. That's scary. You give Caleb Williams a defense, all this stuff. Dude, it's not. They're not there yet. But yeah, when you have one sack on the day, the dude dropped back 30+ times.
Yeah.
That's not a good ratio, right?
Ratio.
Right. It's a poor ratio. And then you have 7 tackles for loss, which is awesome, but it didn't really get them anywhere to me. I don't know, man. And then, you want to talk about the elephant in the room right now?
Go ahead.
So that's usually also going to help your secondary, right? Usually, sacks, of course, will always help because the quarterback's, internal clock gets ticking a little bit quicker. And then, of course, pressures, right? I don't know exactly how many pressures they had. I'm not going to act like I do. But the secondary, my God, step up, man. They're supposed to have a good secondary. That was kind of their, I ain't going to say claim to fame. They have the Heisman winner on the other side of the football. But that was their defensive strong suit last year. A lot of turnovers, right? Well, that's kind of an issue. You want to talk about what the receiver did? San Jose State's receiver, that is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he had 6 receptions. All right, that's fine. 89 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
His longest reception was 32 yards. They were getting dotted up, straight up. There's no way around it.
What did Nick Nash do last year?
Yeah, so Nick Nash, obviously y'all heard, just to reiterate, 6 receptions, 89 yards, 3 touchdowns. Last year, the whole time, 6 receptions, 62 yards, and 1 touchdown.
So obviously, go ahead and address why that's a little bit contradictory.
We're not to week 1 yet.
Okay.
That's why. But no, of course, he didn't start every game last year.
Right.
But my point is, could this guy end up being a breakout? Statistically, yes, Nick Nash will probably be a breakout receiver just because of this game, damn near. He had 3 touchdowns. But at the same time, this dude is not – you're not talking about a 4-star receiver that went to Ohio State and he's coming into his senior year, finally starting, but he was a 4-star all along. The dude's a G. Well, you're talking about a San Jose State football player who couldn't start until his 5th year and just hung those stats on him. Dude, this is not quite really the time to overreact, but let's overreact, right?
Yeah, I also want to say that in today's college football, allowing 200 or less passing yards that's not a bad day defensively.
No, I'm with you.
So I feel
especially when your team scores that many points too.
And when you're up so many,
Yeah.
right? So it becomes garbage time. You got to air it out. I'm not going to – you seem to be very, like, harsh on their secondary right now, on their pass defense. That's not where I was going with it.
Right.
To me, it's more so the run defense. And like I said, they were getting hurries on the quarterback. They got the pressures there. 7 tackles for loss, 1 sack. To me, if you're pushing people out of the pocket like that, you're going to force mistakes and you're going to get those picks that you were talking about in the secondary. But on that same token, when you're bringing as many people as they were bringing the other night, you're going to leave gaps open.
No doubt.
And Oregon, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
It's to me, I was looking at USC and Oregon as a toss-up game right now. And again, I know it's week 0. I understand. Like this is a little bit of an overreaction.
Right.
But just based off of that, what I saw from USC, Oregon looks like a bad matchup for them.
Yeah, it's trouble.
And I already preseason picked Notre Dame to beat USC, and I feel great about that right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially watching both of them. And again, it's week 0, but, true colors still come out, right?
Yeah.
It ain't like it's the preseason, right? They still started all their starters. Both teams did. Like, it's not like the NFL preseason where none of the starters play. This was a football game that counts against your record.
Yeah.
They were trying to beat the crap out of this team, and they did. Don't get me wrong. But watching Notre Dame play and watching that defense, yes, they were playing Navy, but, the triple option's pretty hard to stop, right? And then also watching USC and having that going on, man, with the way that Sam Hartman looked against his defense, bro, they're going to he's going to tear them apart.
Yeah, Sam Hartman's really good. We knew that already. We were, interested to see what he looked like with Notre Dame in their scheme, right where he left off.
Audric Estime.
Yes.
And he's incredible. Again, we knew that going in, right? But with those two, and the entire Notre Dame receiving core, as they have like 5 guys that are the same human, is going to absolutely maul this defense. I am officially flipping my pick to Notre Dame for that game.
Pump the brakes. We're not there yet. We still got a ways to go.
Before the game, yeah.
Yeah, let's not overreact yet. Let's talk about Notre Dame versus Navy.
Okay. So, I kind of jumped into the fact that, like, obviously the triple option, right? Hard to stop, but at some point you have better athletes, you have better coaching, you have all of it, right? A bigger D-line than they have O-line, the whole
absolutely.
9. You're going to win those battles in the trenches, right? It started to look like it was going to be a lot. They kind of started hot. But after that, like I said, you adjust and, stuff happens when you have a better team.
So Notre Dame had 9 different players catch passes,
right?
Which is awesome considering it's game 1 with a new quarterback, Sam Hartman. The chemistry looked to be there already.
Oh, no doubt.
They looked to be in mid-season form. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is, yes, they're playing Navy, okay? So I already know people are going to say, what did you expect them to do? They're playing Navy. It's one of the service schools. That shouldn't have been a game anyway. They should have beat them by more than 3 last year. I hear you. All of those things, I understand. But exactly what you wanted them to do, dominate Navy, prove that they're a playoff caliber team with air quotes, really, really solid team. That's what they went out and did.
No doubt.
They showed everybody that, hey, exactly who you want us to be. That's who we are this year. We ran it down their throats. Sam Hartman did exactly what he was supposed to do. We had how many rushers scored touchdowns? Let's see.
They only had 2 touchdowns rushing.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns rushing.
Audric Estime and then Jadarian Price.
Yep. So 2 different guys with rushing touchdowns, 9 different receivers catching passes. That's solid offensively.
Yeah.
Obviously, they held them to 3 points total. 43 passing yards, 126 rushing yards. That's a hell of a day for the Irish.
No doubt. You hold Lavatai to 3 for 6, right?
Yeah.
Again, they don't really pass the ball.
Yeah.
But their quarterbacks passing the ball were 3 for 7 on the day.
Yeah.
For not many yards, right? Bro, the 4-headed monster. Yes, I said 4-headed monster in the back of that in the Notre Dame backfield. My God, including true freshmen.
Yeah.
Jadarian Price, like, they look incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it's Audric Estime, and like I actually saw one of the Notre Dame accounts, like somebody had asked, like, in their like story replies, like, does Audric have a chance at Heisman? The answer is no. He's definitely one of the premier backs in the country, but dude, they have a true, like, 4-man rushing, like, it's nuts. Yeah, dude. I was I'm not gonna say low on Notre Dame, but I wasn't super high on them. After watching that, man, I'm.
You thought I was crazy for taking them over
look
USC
good.
earlier.
No, I didn't think you were crazy. I mean, I know they're a great football team.
You can watch it back.
We could run the tape, but yeah, man, I don't know. And to go back to the USC thing, man.
Hold on. One more thing on Notre Dame.
Go ahead.
If I had to be nitpicky and point out one thing that scares me about Notre Dame, from a Notre Dame fan's perspective, I'm not, but if I'm looking from that perspective, they put the ball on the turf twice.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's got to get touched up. But I think if they can just protect the ball a little bit better, it's going to be a really hard team to beat.
No doubt. And to clarify, they didn't lose any of either.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Yeah. So I mean, Aldrich was fumbled and he fell on it. I don't remember what Price's was. Was Price the other fumble?
No, Tyree.
There you go. Yeah. So like I said, they're all the same. Well, I mean, they're nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of the problem, right? You had talked about Notre Dame went out there and did exactly what they needed to do. I don't care if you're playing a high school. I don't care if you're playing 8th graders. If you're supposed to go out there and do something, like it doesn't matter that, yeah, we could say, oh, it was Navy, but they took care of business. That is what I'm missing from the USC game. Yes, you throw up 56. Awesome. You gave up 28 points. And like it was 21-14 at half. Right, like we locked that freaking game. I'm like,
yeah.
To watch the first half,
covered comfortably.
Right, and that's awesome. But to watch the first half and actually have me sitting back watching Caleb Williams out there and be worried, like that's an issue, bro.
They covered our alternate spread, but not the original game spread.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's an issue. They need to tighten up. I'm not saying they can't. I mean, it was literally week 0, but. They need to tighten up. Notre Dame looks like they're in midseason form.
To be fair, that's why you play week 0 games.
Yeah.
You play against somebody you can beat, and you get all the kinks out.
That's right.
So,
and they got some kinks. I don't know that they're all out. And again, the offense firing all cylinders. Branch looked great. You know, Mario Williams, those guys didn't really get a ton. Trying to spread the ball around, I get it. They also had a bunch of receivers catch balls.
Yeah.
But as we watch, you know, Mario Williams and those guys kind of get into their form with Caleb, I mean, it could get pretty ugly. But, I mean, dude, man. Yes. Yeah.
So they had 12 guys catch passes.
There you go, right?
That's impressive.
And Caleb looked insane.
Yeah.
I mean, no doubt. Caleb looked really good. But, I mean, that's, again, on offense, they did all you can ask for. On defense, they left a lot on the table.
Yeah.
So,
just some college football news before we get into week 1. The ACC was supposed to meet today to talk about potential expansion and potentially even vote tonight on that. That got postponed because of the North Carolina shooting.
Yeah.
So obviously,
prayers up for those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Prayers for that.
People's and families involved in that.
Yeah, but we'll keep you updated on ACC as the week progresses. All right, week 1. A couple games that could matter and have playoff implications.
Right.
Certainly 1, maybe 2 or 3. But other than that, it's pretty,
I mean, it's, cut and dry.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it.
So UT Martin at Georgia.
Yeah. Not
They
close.
don't even have a spread on the game. I mean, it's going to be absurd.
Yeah.
I will say I'm kind of excited to watch all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Carson Beck in his first start.
Yeah, I want to see him. I want to see Vandegrift. I want to see, all of them. I expect Carson Beck to look insane. I expect him to look great. But I'm really excited to see that. East Carolina at Michigan, that's a 36-point spread.
I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. East Carolina goes to the big house.
I'll tell you what, I'm really excited to see J.J. McCarthy. I'm not nearly as high on him as you are.
Yeah.
But, just looking around the country, it seems to be that you tend to agree with the majority of people, and I guess I just disagree.
I'm kind of in the same boat with Quinn Ewers. The majority are looking at one thing, and I'm thinking something else.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm excited to see him. Hopefully he proves me wrong. Their team is good enough to go win a national championship right now.
Oh, I agree.
As a matter of fact, I just saw a stat that said there's more money on Michigan to win the national title than on Georgia and Ohio State combined.
I think that's incredible.
That's wild. Now, granted, their odds may be favorable, so that could play into why people are putting money on them as opposed to Georgia.
I believe they're the third best odds before those two teams.
Right, or after those two teams.
Yeah. With those two teams being before, But yeah, I mean, a 30-point spread or 36-point spread. I mean, I think they cover. See, like that, they're not a team that's going to score 56, and I think they probably score 50 plus, but they're not going to give up your 28. They're not giving up 21. They probably won't give up 14 points. I think they cover this huge spread.
So here's how I look at this one. We already know what we're going to get out of the backfield. They're going to I would not be surprised to see them run for 225 yards.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know that's a huge number in terms of rushing, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
They're going to break some big ones.
I need to see the equivalent of that. I want to see 225 out of JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
And I think we should see that. I think we very well should see that against East Carolina. But I have to see that to 7 or 8 different receivers to feel comfortable.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a high efficiency day for him. That's kind of what you expect out of a quarterback like that, right? He's not uber talented. He's uber talented. When it comes to like the grand scheme of elite quarterbacks, he's not uber talented. He's not your Caleb Williams, your Bode, any of those guys. But you need to see efficiency. You have the defense playing behind you. You have the freaking backfield that you could only pray and wish for. You need, like, I agree with you. I'm looking for like 19 for 25 with, 256 and 3. Yeah. No picks. No picks being the key. So, I mean, bro, if he does that every game, I mean, that's a tall task, but he does that every game, they go, I mean, everything and
Yeah.
But no, you're right. I think this is a good one for him to start, with the tone, get the tone set, and then, roll.
Yep.
I think they cover the 36-point spread.
Ohio State hosts Indiana. They're a 30-point favorite. This one's not interesting. Ohio State's going to beat the dog crap out of them, but Ohio State still hasn't named a starting quarterback.
No.
And I saw an article saying that they expect Ohio State to run with a 2-quarterback system with Devin Brown and Kyle McCord. And,
this game or like
in
this year?
In this game. Okay. In game 1. So obviously to me that's just one more position battle. Or one more week to get the position battle figured out, and I'm interested to see who that's going to be. Obviously, we're not talking about who's going to win. It's going to be Ohio State in a landslide, but that's one thing I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I think Colin McCord's probably my pick. I think he's probably the front runner right now for that position. What I saw, he's going to run out for the first play, and I think rightfully so. I think he's going to be good. I would venture to say Indiana's probably worse. Probably worse than East Carolina. Like I think they cover this too. Crazy enough.
Yeah.
So even a 30-point spread. What about Middle Tennessee at Bama? Speaking of quarterback battles.
Yeah. Look, I've seen a lot of people. Look, if you watched College Game Day the other day, I want to say 3 people picked Alabama to beat the SEC. Yeah. Alabama to win the SEC over Georgia.
Right.
Which to me is a little bit crazy. Is there a path for them to do that? Absolutely. Yeah. Of course there is. But for everyone to just assume that they're going to win it, 1, win the SEC West, and then 2, beat Georgia in the SEC Championship, and there was all 3 of the 4 agreeing on that was interesting to me. Certainly they can do it. They're going to beat the crap out of Middle Tennessee. Interested to watch the quarterback battle. And
still haven't named a starter.
And really, really looking forward to. I got into it in the YouTube comments with somebody the other day. I did. I sure did. Because they were saying Alabama didn't have any premier receivers. And I said, no. You're mistaking Alabama having some of the most talented receivers in the country with just not having their breakout year yet.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see that. Who's that going to be? Who's going to be the guy to get the majority of the target share? And yeah, who can we look to as the season starts to unfold to be their go-to receiver?
Yeah, I can tell you this much, and I promise this to be true. They don't have any 6 or 7 stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have all 5 stars in their receiving corps, bro. Like, I wish I'd have seen the comment because I'd have gotten into it too. But that's you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, whoever's a quarterback, and I alluded to it like a joke, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes ago. I was like, basically that means who's going to throw for 40 touchdowns and 4 picks. And of course, I was embellishing the numbers and everything. Embellishing is huge for me and for the brand. But I mean, that's literally what it is, bro. Like to a lesser extent, one of these receivers is going to go absolutely dumb, and there's going to be the other 2 are going to go for 700. You know what I mean? Especially, with these aspirations. I mean, it's Bama at the end of the day. But I feel just fine about their receiving corps.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's Milroe, right? I don't know if he takes all the snaps in this game. I don't know if they quite literally, we're recording on Monday night. They quite literally could drop it this week.
Yeah.
Like I could see Wednesday, Saban coming out and being like, hey, this is our guy, that kind of thing. If not, again, I think they run a 2-quarterback system, like you said. Ohio State already came out and said they were going to do, and I think Milroe takes the first snap.
I do too. Again, going back to the wide receiver point that somebody made about Alabama, if you're going to look me in the face and tell me that of Jermaine Burton, Ja'Cory Brooks, Isaiah Bond, Kobe Prentice, even Shaz Preston, redshirt freshman, that none of those guys could start anywhere in the country, pick one.
They're not going to break out. Wow.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean that's a hell of a group. And I think we were speaking in relation to Tennessee. As a Tennessee fan.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I get it. There's a rivalry there. Obviously, there's a little bit of bias. I understand. I get it. But to say that they don't have a good wide receiver group is just ridiculous.
I mean,
and then on top of that, defensively, they very well could have one of the best defenses in the SEC too.
Yeah, so. I would even venture to say that they're going to have a receiver with a better season than any Tennessee receiver. I don't know who it's going to be. Probably Ja'Cory Brooks, to be honest with you. I think he breaks out for more than Brew McCoy does. Brew McCoy had 6 touchdowns last season. They're returning production at Tennessee.
They also lose Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt.
The Biletnikoff, the best receiver. Well,
the Biletnikoff award. Yeah, the Biletnikoff.
Yeah, the award winner. So, I mean, kudos to him. But if we're talking right now, like I would argue they might have a better receiving core.
Potentially, but
talented wise.
But you can't just to play devil's advocate, you can't say that you can't base the statement that Alabama is going to have a receiver with a better year than Brew McCoy because Brew McCoy only had 6 touchdowns last year. That's a bad argument.
Yeah,
considering
but
who they lost.
Cedric Tillman was out all year, and Jalen Hyatt always had the first corner. So I don't know. And Jalen Hyatt was there to stretch the field for him.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that might have been a crazy random take that didn't even need to be had. But like my point is, y'all are not returning anything crazy either. Y'all are returning y'all's wide receiver 3, and Squirrel, who's probably going to be good. But I
think Squirrel's going to be great.
No doubt. Yeah, I just don't know. But again, based off of what, right? Talent. And if we're basing it off of talent, Alabama's going to beat you every time. They'll beat everyone every time. If we're basing it off of blue chip talent. So I mean, But anyway, yeah, I mean, it'll be a close one with them in Middle Tennessee State.
And again, I think the biggest question for Alabama is the quarterback position, and that happens to be the most important position. So
yeah, no, I'd agree.
So look, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say Alabama's going to win the SEC and be in the playoff and potentially win the national championship. Saw lots of those predictions as well.
Me too.
I'm staying away from that. I still don't have Alabama in my playoff, but I see the argument. So.
Yeah, I mean, they're my 5 or 6 based on 21 players. All I need is 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm right back with them.
Now, I will say, and we said it last week, that if Alabama finds their way in the playoff, they're my pick.
Favorite. Yeah, me too. I mean, it doesn't.
I don't think they'll be there, but if everything plays out to where Alabama finds themselves in the playoff, it's because they're going to win the national championship.
Yeah, I agree. But a lot of people had them at the 1 seeds. I mean, that's blasphemous. To look at the very recent, in other words, to look at last year and then to go to this year and say, okay, I think all things considered, with what Georgia brought back, the house. What Michigan brought back, a bigger house.
Not bad.
Come on. There's no way you look at this Bama team and can say they're number 1 without looking at history. You know what I mean? And yes, they're the most talented team, but with no quarterback at the helm, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying it's a question mark for me. I can't even say that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, 4 or 5 weeks into the season, like you may hear me be like, "Oh yeah, dude, Alabama's my favorite," but not right now.
Yeah. All right. LSU opens up against Florida State, a top 10 matchup. This is going to be the best game of week 1, in my opinion.
Oh, it's not close.
May not be the best game, but it's certainly the most important game in terms of implications.
Yeah. I'm checking myself before I wreck myself. They don't have another single ranked game.
Yeah.
And this one's top 10. I mean, by far will be the most important game. And honestly, like I know what you mean by like best game, meaning like, down to the wire, that kind of stuff. It could be the best game.
Very well could be.
I mean, dude, you want to talk about down to the wire? Last year was nuts, man.
Yeah.
I watched it together. Freaking, it was nuts.
I will say last year's game, I don't think will be representative of what this year's game will look like.
Yeah.
Rewatching last year's game, it genuinely looked like two bad football teams.
Yeah.
Now they weren't. They both finished inside the top 15. So, they ended up being really good football teams. LSU played for the SEC championship, and Florida State was right on the edge. North Carolina ended up playing for the ACC championship, but Florida State was right there.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad football teams, but in that game, it looked like two bad football teams. LSU tried over and over and over to lose. They finally were successful,
right, in losing
down the stretch. But it felt like both teams did everything they could to lose that game. And then obviously Florida State blocked the extra point to win it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what we see this year. I think we see two really polished teams with a lot of returning production after two great seasons, respectively. LSU brings back, I want to say it's like 90% of their offensive production. The only player they really lose is Kayshon Boutte in the in terms of production. And then Florida State bringing back Jordan Travis, Trey Benson. They have Johnny Wilson. They bring in. They do bring in Jaheim Bell, but who's the receiver from Michigan State? I'm blanking on. What's his name? Keon Coleman. Yeah. So look, this is talent on talent.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, man, like, and this is gonna sound crazy. I mean, y'all see the freaking Tiger jersey on the wall, right? But all things considered, you had the first game with a new head coach. I think that's interesting, right? You have two muff punts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not gonna say because I can't just excuse those. But those are unforced plays.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't punt it with a certain spiral, right? You had two blocked, which, again, no excuse. That is forced because they did it, right? But all of those things not happen. Now, Florida State did have a fumble on the 1 yard line, right? On a horrible freaking play call.
Yeah, like I said, both teams are trying to lose.
Yeah. LSU was just better at it, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, that's kind of what it boiled down to. I would venture to say that, I mean, you have, and kind of call me on my shit here, if I'm wrong. Jordan Travis, I'd say, is probably a top 5 quarterback in the country. If not, he's ranked, right? Top 10.
He's on the brink, yeah.
Top 10. I saw a lot of people say the number 1 running back in the country. However, he's top 5. And receiving core, I'd say it's top 5 to top 8, right?
Yeah.
Like, that offense is dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Jaheim Bell's a great tight end, like brink of elite, right? Like, their offense is crazy. Florida State's is. LSU brings back, again, a lot of their production. Boutte was out most of the year last year. Malik Neighbors is projected the second receiver off the board. In other words, he's projected to be the second best receiver in football. I mean, first of all, that's to me a stretch. Like, we kind of have to see that, right? We had no indication last year. But I mean, we'll see, man. Jaden Daniels, that was his first game with the team. To me, they're more meshed. I think more so. Let's say they were dead even teams week 1. I think if you took them week 1, they're even. I think whenever it ended up, the boat race was over. When all things were said and done and we went to the offseason, I think LSU finished a better team. And I think they're coming into this one as a better team. Now, does the better team always win? No. But I do have LSU in this one and to cover the 2.5-point spread. Yeah. That was a clip, buddy. Anyway, I'm listening.
Here's my thing. I think if LSU and Florida State were to play in week 5, I'd feel very good about LSU winning that game.
Yeah.
Going into week 1, Mason Smith will not be playing.
Right.
And Armani Goodwin's.
And he didn't play last year. I forgot about that too.
And Armani Goodwin's listed as doubtful. So, that's Armani Goodwin, regardless of where he is listed on LSU's depth chart, he's their best running back. He 100.
That was on their team last year.
He's their most efficient running back, and it's not close.
That was on their team last year. I'd agree. Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying potentially Logan Diggs maybe
possibly, yeah,
could be better. Okay. And Caleb Jackson is a freshman that has big play potential, but
John Emery.
I don't know where he falls on the depth chart.
I don't know if he was on the team last year, but
who?
John Emery.
Yeah.
Just he had a bunch of stuff going.
Right. Yeah. It's talent on talent. I think if you look defensively, right, I think both offenses are really, really good. The reason that I'm going to go with LSU is because I think LSU's defense matches up much better against Florida State than Florida State's defense matches up with LSU.
And I forgot. It's so funny. Like, I went through all these things. Like, you saw me count on this hand 5 things that kind of LSU, first of all, again, mistakes, a lot of them, but 5 things, right? And then you had the fumble. I forgot about Mason Smith. However, he's not playing, so that's not going to be a difference, right? And then, Harold Perkins. I mean, truly, I feel okay with saying the single best defensive player in the country.
Yeah.
I would also venture to say, and I'm sorry, Bama fans, for Will Anderson, stands. I would say as soon as he stepped on the field and played a full 60 minutes, he was the best defensive player in the country as a freshman. Watching him play, with Bama, right? Because he wasn't on the field for Tennessee either. When you watch him play with Bama, a lot of people are game changers. This dude's like an X factor. Like he is. I mean, there's no label that can be put on him.
Yeah.
Now that he'll be at the mic, and Brian Kelly says all around, you're gonna have to find him every play. Hey man, that's like real scary.
Yeah.
I have LSU, and it's gonna sound crazy. I got them by like 10 to 14.
Yeah.
Possibly bigger. I don't mean way bigger, but anywhere from 10 to 17 points. I mean, it's 2 or 3 possessions.
Yeah. So earlier, we broke this one down almost 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Before fall camp even started because, couldn't wait. But but as we get closer to this game, you hear Mason Smith's not going to be playing. You hear Armani Goodwin's not going to be playing. You look at Florida State, and Jared Verse is going to anchor down that defensive line. Man, I do like LSU to win, but I'm going to go somewhere between 3 and 10.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a really, really close game with really serious playoff implications. Now, also, I do want to acknowledge I have Florida State in the ACC championship and winning the ACC.
Right.
So I think if Florida State wins this game, they could very well be in the playoffs as either a 12-1 non-conference champion or 12-1 or undefeated conference champion.
Yeah.
I think the only other game on their schedule that they could potentially lose is Clemson.
And I think you have to go
even if they lose that game, they'll play Clemson again.
Yeah, I mean this for them is crucial.
Yeah.
You've got to win this game. Now, a loss here, you win out, right? You're still in. But I mean this is their freaking season on the line, right? Whereas, of course, you saw LSU play for the, I almost said college football championship.
SEC championship.
SEC championship after losing it. So
now, either way, right? This is a must-win game for both teams. There's no precedent for a 2-loss team being in the college football playoff.
Right.
No precedent. This is the last year. So the loser of this game has to win out to be in the college football playoff. And this is 2 teams that many people have in their college football playoff.
Right.
So the winner of this game's odds obviously get much better. The loser, regardless of who it is capable of winning the rest of their games. They're capable of it. That doesn't mean they may or may not, but they're capable.
Yeah, especially Florida State.
Yeah.
This is their best opponent on the schedule.
Yeah.
Florida State wins this game. I feel really good about them in Clemson.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is I think if LSU loses this game, it's much harder for them to get to the playoffs than it is for Florida State.
No doubt. Absolutely.
If Florida State loses, they'll have to beat Clemson and very likely twice. But if LSU loses, they still got to beat Alabama. And if they do beat Alabama, now they got to beat Georgia.
Yeah.
So
I'd much rather go Clemson than Bama, Georgia.
Yeah.
And it's not close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
and the rest of the SEC West.
Yeah.
So
that's if they win out, basically. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like LSU, and my final is going to be a 10-point game, like a 31-21, somewhere in there.
I'm going to go single digits, but I do have LSU winning.
34-24, final prediction.
I'm not picking points. But
only did it for shits.
Yeah. All right. Nevada at number 6, USC.
Yeah, Nevada. I'm going to go USC for sure. I mean, it's a 38-point spread. I couldn't tell if it was a 6 or not. 38-point spread. I mean, I like him to cover.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, it's going to sound so dumb. And, this sounds like I'm such a non-analyst. So sound a little bit better. But, bro, you mess around and go up 21 points to Nevada, the overreacting starts to become what are we doing? Go in, freaking have them to the Rose Bowl and handle freaking business.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I need to see see a 41-7 or some. Yeah.
The Coliseum.
They don't play in the Rose Bowl, Joe.
No.
Why would you say that either?
You said it.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think USC wins big. I'm not going to bet this game just because I don't understand why any spread would ever be 6 possessions.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. If I were to bet it, I think I'd take Nevada to cover the 38.
I kind of agree with you. Yep.
All right. West Virginia at 7, Penn State. Penn State's only a 20.5-point favorite. I'll take Penn State to cover that.
I agree.
Yep.
Statement win.
Anything you want to go in and talk about Penn State a little bit more? Talk about this game a little bit, or
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is really gonna be a game. I think Penn State again. The backfield is nuts, right? Drew Allar. I'm really excited. Allar.
I believe it's a law.
I hear both. Allar I'll go with. This is
Aller. Drew
being
Aller.
serious?
Drew Aller. I think it's Aller. I really don't know.
Anyway, their quarterback named Drew. This is kind of his coming out party, right? I want him to ball. Obviously I need to see that. And then Nick Singleton. I mean that running back is nuts. What is it? Katron? I don't know his name.
I want to remind everyone, you specifically, and I'm gonna stick with this at least for now. I have that division as a 3-way tie.
Yeah.
With Penn State 11-1 with a win over Ohio State. So just remind everyone now, as Penn State progresses into their the bulk of their schedule. Don't forget what Joe told you.
No, this is not going to happen, but they mess around and win this game by 7. What do we think?
It's week 1. We'll give them grace.
Okay.
After
shitting on USC and Vandy, but I like that. Come on, it's Penn State. They're all right.
Yeah, they're going to be fine.
Bounce back. It ain't nothing.
All right, 9 Clemson at Duke. This is a 13-point spread. This one does have implications on it. Not because I think Duke can win the ACC. But because I think they are good enough to catch Clemson in a week 1 game. Do I think they will? No, I don't. I like Clemson to win, and truly I think they should cover the 13. But Duke is a good enough team to catch a team that's not in midseason form yet.
Yeah, I agree with your last sentence. However, I don't think Clemson. And I know you picked Clemson to win, but I want to take them to cover the 13. This is one of the ones we're going to tease and lock.
Yeah.
For sure. We'll get to the lock situation a little bit later, but this one kind of threw me for a loop, man. I guess exactly what you just said is Vegas' guess, right? I said guess, but 13 points is odd to me.
I do think Clemson wins. I think Clemson wins by 14, but I'd be comfortable locking it at Clemson minus 2.5. Give them the 3 points, be good to go.
Yeah. I agree.
I think this is one that could, if you're not, you got a new quarterback, all that kind of stuff. Now, I do think Garrett Riley is going to have this offense firing on all cylinders. Yeah. I really, really do. Great running backs.
Can't
solid
wait to see what he does with Klubnik. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Clemson's going to be really good. Again, like I said, I have them in the ACC championship. There's no way they should lose to Duke, but it could happen.
Yeah. Vegas thinks so too.
Yeah. So again, I'm not saying that Clemson's in danger of losing to Duke. I'm not putting them on upset alert. I'm just saying, check it out. Keep an eye on the game. And I'd be comfortable locking them at minus 2.5.
I agree.
All right. Boise State at 10, Washington, minus 14.5.
Yeah, man, this is another spread back-to-back that I don't feel okay with. To me, right, if I'm setting the line, it's probably 17.5, possibly 18, 19.5. I feel really good about Washington this year. I know you definitely do too.
Yeah.
Now, Boise State is no slouch. Don't get me wrong. Like a lot of these teams we have been covering. But, man, I mean, I love Washington, and I love Washington to cover.
It's interesting that all the Pac-12 teams seem to be playing everybody in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
As, that's what
Pac-12 teams do.
That's kind of what they're reverting to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
I do think Washington. I like Washington to cover. Again, we're not covering straight spreads. We'd tease them, but we'll probably stay away from this one. But I like Washington to win big. I'm looking at 3 or 4 possessions.
Me too.
Big day for Michael Penix Jr. Statement game for that receiver room.
And to me, this is probably the worst spread of the weekend. I think Clemson covers nicely, but to me, this is the worst spread. I think Duke's a far better team than Boise State.
Yeah.
And I think Washington, honestly, is better than Clemson. And so I don't really understand the 14.5, but, brother, yeah, they're going to cover it bad.
Yeah. Rice at 11, Texas.
Yeah, so this one has no odds. I mean, I'm definitely taking Texas in this one.
Yeah, beat down.
Yep.
We don't need to spend a ton
Bro,
of time.
yeah, but Quinn Ewers needs to, go.
Okay, so that's what you're watching.
I gotta
in this
see it,
game
man.
for.
I'm in the same spot like you and McCarthy. Like, and then I'm interested in that running back core. You have two, huge draft picks, and Roshan Johnson and Bijan Robinson that leave. The best running back in college football, Doak Walker Award winner. So that for the little that everybody clings on to, and I am being a little bit, crazy, but for the little that everybody clings on to about Quinn Ewers, freaking Bijan Robinson certainly didn't hurt him. So I need to see their running back core kind of, come out, right? And then I need Ewers to be perfect on the day, straight up. Like perfect, like no interceptions and 3 touchdowns. I don't care about the yards.
Right.
No interceptions, 3+ touchdowns. Because with the hype that he's getting, bro, like I'm so tired of hearing about it. I need to see it.
So out of the running back room, your eyes are on Jonathan Brooks and CJ Baxter.
Yes.
For me,
Baxter.
like you were talking about with Quinn, I'm not necessarily watching for Quinn the ball. I think he's a solid quarterback. Right. I don't necessarily need to see everything you're asking for. But I'm excited to see all the different pass catchers on that team. Bringing in A.D. Mitchell, a guy like Jatavian Sanders at tight end. They've got solid pass catchers. Very much reminds me of a Florida State.
Yeah, and Xavier Worthy, their best pass catcher.
Yeah. I was just talking. Yes, for sure.
Talking about the others, like kind of Yeah. Very similar to Florida State. Florida State's got a far better running back, and forgive me, a far better quarterback. At least stats and time. Time will tell. I'm not saying he doesn't have the talent, but Jordan Travis is a far better quarterback. Yeah, man. Since there's no spread, I'll put my spread. I'm looking at 21, probably 20.5 on this one. I think they cover.
Okay.
I think that's what Vegas will put on this line.
Cool.
On this game. So, but yeah, I like Texas in a big one.
Virginia at Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee's a 28-point favorite. I think they cover and pretty nicely.
Again,
I think their defense coming out parties this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Defense, okay.
Yeah, I think they end up being really good, and I think Milton, bro, I think he's him.
Yeah, so going back to what we were talking about with the Tennessee receiving core, specifically with that fan in the YouTube comments, I tend to agree with you that Tennessee has a great receiving core with tons of talent. I think they're going to ball. But I just disagreed with the sentiment you were making about Alabama.
Right.
Again, this is going to be a fun team to watch this season. As we get closer to that Bama game and that Georgia game, the ones that Kentucky game even for Tennessee, I'm excited to watch this team play out.
Yeah, me too. I think they're going to be really freaking good. I think they cover.
Tennessee State at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame
beat down.
Yeah, it's a beat down. The one thing I'm looking for is just protect the football.
Yeah, me too.
Other than that, if you can stay on pace with what you did in week 0,
and brother,
you're moving up in the rankings.
Rest your starters. Get Hartman his 250 yards and 3. Get Aldrich over 100 with a touchdown or 2 and get out. Especially with a team like Tennessee State. I understand with the academies, especially because they play them every year. You want to beat them. You want to beat them pretty nice, and boy, did they. With a game like this, man, rest your starters. I didn't like seeing them play the whole game. Aldrich came out pretty early, but like watching them keep going, I don't know.
Well, it's not that Aldrich came out early. It's that they truly rotate their back so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Aldrich's not carrying the ball like third quarter.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see those guys come out early. That's another thing I'm looking for, and I very much assume they do that in Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Florida at Utah. This one's it's only a 6.5 point spread in favor of Utah. Cam Rising is still questionable. He tore his ACL in the Rose Bowl last year.
Yeah.
Thoughts here?
Yeah. I feel really good about Utah. Cam Rising is a huge, obviously, piece.
Mm-hmm.
Another great quarterback, and from the Pac-12, like every other good quarterback. Man, that's rough, man. I think it's gonna be crappy, but I don't think Utah's gonna run out of quarterback that's worse than Graham Mertz. It's kind of crappy the way it comes out and happens like that. But yeah, Cam Rising obviously playing is gonna be a big deal. But a 6.5 point spread obviously has that kind of in it, right? They're letting people bet on whatever pretenses they want to bet on.
Mm-hmm.
I think when that decision is made, I think everything kind of spreads one way or another to either 9.5 or 4.5, right? But yeah, I like Utah's money line. Spread's kind of rough just because I don't know, but I don't think it matters for the money line.
Yeah,
it's kind of where I sit.
Yeah,
with Cam,
I think Utah is. If they really decided to, they just run it all over Florida if they need to. It's kind of what they tried to do last year. Yeah. So it's tricky. If Cam Rising does not play, then I get nervous about this game for Utah, because I do think Utah they're a team that should be favored in every game they play this year, in my opinion. Very likely could find themselves back in the Pac-12 championship. And to open up the season with another loss to Florida without your starting quarterback, the leader of this team, that would be a really, really poor way to start the season.
Yeah, no, I agree. Another unranked Florida team.
I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. I think Utah finds a way to win regardless.
I agree.
Whether if it's on the ground, if it's with Cam Rising, and if it's Cam Rising, it's still maybe on the ground. Who knows? But
yeah, you ain't lying.
But no, I like Utah on this one. I think it's vitally important that Cam Rising plays, get your lead, and then get him out.
Yeah. No doubt. Get up 14 points and dip.
Portland at number 15, Oregon. Oregon's gonna win big.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah. Anything you're watching for in particular?
No, man. I'm excited to watch them though, man. It's funny because another big college football analyst came out and said the exact same thing that I said. Oregon in the Pac-12 championship and probably winning it. First of all, love to see that. It makes me feel good about the boy, But man, I mean, I think they're one of the better teams in the Pac-12. I think both of the teams we just covered are better than their counterpart that's ranked a whole lot higher. I can say that with utmost confidence at this very point. But yeah, I mean, I expect them to win. I mean, possibly the biggest margin of the week. It's not really a bold take because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If they win by 40 and I was wrong, I was still right a little bit. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I can see it, man. Looking for a big day out of Bo Nix. Not even necessarily a big day stat wise, just looking for a
good day, an efficient day.
An efficient day out of Bo Nix. And I'll use the word big now. I'm looking for a big day out of Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
I want to see him pick up right where he left off last year. And I think if he does, then this Oregon offense is going to be horrifying.
Yeah, I agree.
Southeast Missouri at K-State. K-State's going to win. K-State's going to win, but I don't feel like we need to get into this one too much. I feel good about K-State winning this game.
Yeah,
and then
feel good about Will Howard.
Look, Colorado at TCU. Thoughts?
Blowout.
Do you? You think so?
Absolutely. It's a 20.5-point spread.
20.5-point spread. My issue is, should TCU win big? Yeah, they should. Do we have anything to base that off of, considering Colorado has an entirely new team, different scheme, different coordinators? I mean, literally, you're talking about like 4 players from last year's team that are still on this team. So there may be no chemistry, but this is a team that we have nothing to base off of.
Yeah. So
I'm going to go TCU strictly based on chemistry. There's a precedent precedent in place with the coach, Sonny Dykes. They got a lot of talent over there. They did great in the transfer portal. Maybe not quite as good as Colorado did, but
honestly, I mean, it was real close. But
yeah.
Man, it's my thing. Like, Colorado has the 2 best players in my opinion, of both teams. You make an all-star team and you rank them like a Madden rating or an NCAA rating. Well, that's coming up. I forgot about that. They have the 2 best overall players. Hey, man, the next 30 or 40 all come from TCU. I mean, not actually, but probably the next 10 or 12, right? And that's an issue.
Yeah. Is
Travis Hunter one of the better players in the country? Probably so. Is Shedeur Sanders him? I think there's a shot. I think he's got the talent to be. He's definitely got the athletic genes to be. His dad's real good at football and hopefully coaching. I'd love to see that. But not in this one. No, I got TCU. I don't know to cover, man. I said blowout. I'm 14-17, but I don't think it's a game ever.
Yeah.
I think they get up. Dude, no, I haven't blown them out. I have them winning by 21 plus. 21 to 24 points. I think they cover.
I'm gonna go TCU. I'm gonna go TCU to win, but I'm staying away from the spread.
I would too, because I think it's close, but I do have them barely covering.
Simply for everything I just said, I have no clue what to expect out of Colorado, so I do like TCU to win, but I'm not betting the spread.
Would you agree with my assessment though, for the most part?
Yeah,
I think Shedeur Sanders is the better quarterback, and I think Travis Hunter is the best player out of the two teams. Other than that, I think you have trouble finding anybody else.
I maybe wouldn't say that. We haven't seen either of those players play in Power 5 football. So
yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know.
For Monty McClain too, I'm kind of excited to see him.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, gosh, I have nothing that's saying they're gonna win. That's
all right. 18 Oregon State at San Jose State. I got a take here. San Jose State will not score 28 on Oregon State.
No, absolutely not. I'll bet my life dang near. I said bold. Dang near, right?
That's a bold bet. I don't know what you're betting it on, but
I don't even remember his name. That's how bad this is. And I'm not supposed to remember his name.
Nick Nash?
Nick Nash, thank you. You remembered it. Won't score.
Yeah, okay, I'm not saying that. But my point is, Oregon State. Blowout. Yeah, Oregon State may not score 56 points, but San Jose State's not scoring 20.
Really excited to watch DJ Uyunglele.
No doubt.
This is one of my. This will be one of my favorite watchings, player wise. I can't wait to watch Quinn Ewers. I think that's a big one. Kyle McCord. Who's that other guy? What's his name? Carson Beck. And then DJ. I want to see all these guys. Kate Clubding. I mean, okay, there's a lot of them. But I'm really excited to watch DJ Uyunglele.
Me too. He was a guy that I was a little disappointed in last year because I was expecting a big bounce back year.
Not me, and I called it.
Yeah, you did. But so my thing with him at Clemson was obviously there was some stuff going on between the years. Two seasons ago, obviously with his family. But yeah, he just didn't bounce back the way I expected him to, and I really hope a change of scenery does that for him.
Me too. I like the guy. I think he's a good dude. I just want to see it.
Yeah. All right. Wisconsin hosts Buffalo, 28-point spread to beat down. I really am interested to see their run game.
Braylon Allen.
Yeah, and especially with the new head coach, I think Wisconsin's going to be a good sleeper team this year. If I had to pick a team to be, okay, I don't think Wisconsin's going to be in the college football playoff. Let me go ahead and get that out the way. But if I had to pick a team who would mimic TCU last year, it would be Wisconsin.
Ooh.
I don't think they're going to be there.
I know what you're saying.
I didn't think TCU would be there either.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
But if I had to pick a team that would mimic what TCU did last year,
right,
I would say it was Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think they definitely have a shot, right? I mean, they have a good football team. There's really no way around it. But maybe so. Again, I'm not predicting it, right? I didn't predict TCU. I didn't predict TCU when they were 12-0.
Yeah.
So I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Yeah, man, Braylon Allen's real good. To me, that's probably my number 2 or 3 running back in the country. I expect him to go dumb this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got Wisconsin. I don't know about covering though, man. 28 freaking points. It's like if you don't have a truly elite offense, I don't really care who you're playing. I'm not ever taking a 4-possession spread.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah. All right, let's fly through these last couple. Arkansas State at 20 Oklahoma. Big day out of Dylan Gabriel. 35-point spread. Again, not taking the spread, but Oklahoma win.
I'd like Arkansas State to cover.
Yeah. All right, we got to talk about this in a little bit. My laptop died on me.
Yeah, North Carolina, number 21, North Carolina at South Carolina.
But they're a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
North Carolina is.
North Carolina is at South Carolina, a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, well. I just name all these guys I'm so excited to watch. I'm just ready for football, if you can't tell. Brother, Drake Maye and Spencer Sanders. Wow, he's kind of a buddy of mine. Spencer Rattler. That's primetime football right there. I'm real hyped to watch that. Who you got? I like an upset here. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, no, I feel really good about South Carolina in this game.
Look at that Tennessee game last year.
Yeah.
They are one that's going to exploit bad defenses. I'm not talking about subpar defenses. I'm talking about bad defenses. Another thing is look how Mac Brown, Drake Maye, and the guys started last year. Now, is this kind of a dumb argument? Maybe. Last year in their first game, they played a Sun Belt team and gave up 61 effing points.
Yeah.
I don't think they give up 61 in this one. I mean, Spencer's good. I don't know if he's that good. But yeah, man, I like South Carolina by 1 possession, 3-7.
My phone's going crazy. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
it just decided to go insane.
But Drake Maye could be the difference there.
It's happening.
Stop it.
I don't know what's going on,
Throw
man.
it.
It's happening.
It didn't happen the whole time.
I know. I picked it up and everything happened. I like South Carolina. Again, like you said, I think Drake Maye is going to have a big day because simply he's Drake Maye. But again, the defense is just not great. Now, the problem with Spencer Rattler is, can he be consistent? He certainly has the talent to go out and win a game and have a big day, but he hasn't always been consistent. They do lose Jaheim Bell. We talked about him. He's
and Austin Stogner.
Yeah, so that's 2 big targets for him. I think I'm going to go South Carolina's defense in this game, and then I think South Carolina's offense against North Carolina's defense is just a better matchup.
Agreed. I think it's enough.
So I think it's a very close game. It's going to be a good game, but I got to go South Carolina.
Yeah, I agree. I think team on team, I'm taking South Carolina. I think the way that North Carolina wins this game is pretty simple. Drake Maye. It's the Drake Maye show. If that ends up being the case, then, sucks. We predicted it wrong, right? Because Drake Maye can really take over a game like nobody else in the country if that's not named Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Now, we've also seen, he was about the definition of consistency until the Georgia Tech game and until everything just started crumbling. So, he needs to pick right back up where he left off before those games. And if that's the case, it's trouble, but I do like them as well, South Carolina. So, Mercer at 22 Ole Miss. There's not even a line on this thing.
Yeah, Quinshon Judkins.
200 plus. Awesome.
Big day out of Jackson Dart, too.
Yeah. Do we have confirmation that's who they're running out?
Nope, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I feel you. I agree. New Mexico at A&M, 38-point spread. Does A&M score 38 points in this game?
That's what I was getting at. Does A&M turn the corner this year with Petrino at OC?
It depends. I will be able to answer that question after this game. They're not playing the school for the deaf even. This is the school for the blind they're playing. But I will be able to tell you that after this game. We're going to have to see the play calling. I feel really good about Wegman. I feel really good about really their offense. I do. Talent just all over the place. Defense too. But that's the key. Do they turn the corner this year? I don't know, but I'll be able to tell you after this game. And look, they don't cover. I can tell you that.
Going into the season last year, we thought they were going to be that team. There were a lot of people
I had them top 5.
Huh?
I had them top 5.
Well, they were top 6.
Yeah.
And Desmond Howard had them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
Desmond Howard had Pitt in the playoffs.
That's fair.
So let's reel that one back in.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point. Yeah.
And Baylor.
He did have
Grow
Baylor.
up.
Yeah, it was a bad.
Yeah, now that we're talking about his playoffs, let's shut up.
It was a bad outing.
Pitt,
for him.
Baylor, A&M, and I think Georgia or Michigan. It was Michigan.
It was Michigan. Yeah, it was Michigan.
Grow up.
No,
No.
25%.
Joe, none of those 3 teams were ranked after the year.
No.
So there's nothing else to talk about. But yeah.
No.
That might be the coldest take of all time, right?
That playoff.
You had a playoff where 3 of the teams out of the 4 weren't ranked, and 1 was an absolute putt.
I like Texas A&M this year. I do think I think they find 8 wins on their schedule.
Ooh.
Was that too hot? Was that too hot of a take?
I'm cool at 7, maybe.
I think
Problem is, bro. They didn't add.
But the problem is, if they're good enough to win
7, they're good enough to win 8. Okay, when do you stop? If they're good enough to win 8, they're good enough to win 9.
No, but that's not what I'm getting at. Is what are the 5 games they lose?
Gotta pull it up. Yeah.
So you think they lose to Bama? You think they lose to LSU?
Yeah. The LSU game is a toss-up, honestly. After what
they beat LSU last year.
Yeah.
And they went to the wire with Bama.
I think they have a rough game against Miami. Week 2. I think they get Auburn. I think Arkansas could be a trap game.
They beat Miami last year, did they not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking. So of the 3 games that you think are the most difficult, they beat 2 and took Bama to the wire.
Yeah. They also have Tennessee this year.
Yeah,
they also get South Carolina. They also get Ole Miss.
That's a rough SEC East draw.
It is. So I have them dropping one of Arkansas or Miami, so I'm going to give them 1 loss there. Bama, Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU. And they better scratch out a win over South Carolina because that would mean they were 6-6. So
I think they go 8-4. I think it's a much better year. But I do think they I think they, find their, natural Texas A&M ceiling at right about 8 wins.
Yeah, Texas 8-4.
Yep.
I don't have the rest of the games pulled up because I was pissed off about A&M. South Alabama, Tulane. You and I talked about this game a lot. This is not even Power 5, neither of them.
But Tulane's ranked though.
Yeah, 24. Yeah. 6.5-point favorite at home. Tell me the number 24 team in the country.
The last time they played football, they beat USC.
Who the last time they played beat the Heisman winner. They are a 6.5-point favorite at home, so they're a 3.5-point favorite on a neutral field against a mid-tier Sunbelt team. Brother, that's rough. I mean, that is yeesh.
Yeah, no,
I'm gonna take them to cover, but damn, bro.
I don't think Tulane's an elite football team.
No,
I don't. They did beat USC. They did beat Kansas State last year, so they had 2 really good wins.
Right.
Hell, that's a Pac-12 team that played in the championship. They won the Rose Bowl against them, and then Kansas State won the Big 12.
Yeah.
So that's 2 really nice wins for them. I don't know if they can find a quote.
TCU, who beat Michigan.
None of that. We're not.
Tulane's better than Michigan. Don't have me.
No. Okay. I don't think they'll find 2 equivalent wins this year.
I agree.
But I don't think they'll find 1 equivalent win. I think the best game they play on their regular season schedule is Ole Miss. That'll be a fun game to watch, but I think they lose it.
Yeah, me too.
But regardless, this week I think they beat South Alabama by.
I think it could
14,
get bad.
14. I'd set the line at 14.5.
Yeah, I think it could get ugly though. I think this is one of those games that has potential to get ugly, like 27 type crap. But I'm not predicting that. I mean, I think they cover comfortably. I don't think it's ever a worry. And then finally, last and least. Utah State at 25 Iowa. Iowa's a 25-point favorite. Give me Utah State to cover. Not even a backdoor cover. I don't think Iowa State is ever up by 25.
Yeah,
Iowa.
That's interesting. Do we have an update on if Cade McNamara is going to play?
No, we don't. Not yet. Not until Monday.
Yeah, then I'm gonna stay away from the spread.
Yeah,
I do like Iowa to win. Iowa's got a really good defense. They're gonna win the game.
I lost the game.
Yeah, they're gonna win the game, but with not having Cade McNamara at quarterback, that just puts the cherry on top of a really questionable Iowa offense.
Yeah.
So,
puts the cherry on top of a questionable offense. Yeah.
This is another one of those things with Iowa where their defense is so good, but the problem is their defense is going to have to win them games.
Yeah.
So is Iowa capable of scoring 14, 17 points? Of course, but the defense, you got to hold them to 13.
Yeah.
That's the scenario with the offense right now, especially not having Cade McNamara. Now, if you have your starting quarterback, I feel good. Maybe not cover, but I do feel like 21 is probably fair.
They're a 25-point favorite.
I know.
Yeah, I mean that's
what I'm saying. I'm saying with Cade McNamara, I'd take them by 3 possessions.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean I have Iowa. I don't have them covering though. So
pull up the takes.
Yeah, so I mean
hold on. So we were gonna do locks, but the problem is they're not. The alternate spreads aren't released yet. So we are gonna put up a graphic later in the week. I'm going with the
probably tomorrow or Wednesday.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be here later in the week. We're taking a work trip to Chicago, so we had to knock this out on Monday. Alternate spreads aren't released yet,
right?
But again, we'll get back to it when they come out and put that graphic out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean this is the big one, and we kind of already hit on it. Can Utah beat Florida without Cam Rising?
I think can Utah beat Florida without Cam Rising? The short answer is duh.
Yeah.
I think the better question is,
can Florida win if Cam Rising doesn't play?
Yes. And again, I think the answer is yes.
I think the short answer is duh. I really do.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think with if you pose the question that way, can Florida beat Utah if Cam Rising does not play? Yes, you can. Graham, I'm interested to see Graham Mertz. I know
That's another one I'm watching. Yeah.
I know you took a little bit of a shot at him earlier, but I really am interested to see how he plays in the offense. I know you believe in the coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you really much believe in him. But one thing about Florida that we're not talking about is their running back room.
Yeah.
We talked about Utah going to be able to run it all over Florida. I think there's a shot Florida could just match that energy, and if they're going to limit the amount of possessions that both team has. Who's gonna convert in the red zone?
Yeah, Florida sneakily has a top probably 5 to 6-0 line in the SEC. They're really freaking good up there, and that's trouble. I am excited to see Graham Mertz. You can add it to the list of 20 freaking quarterbacks I'm ecstatic to watch.
Yeah, I'm not excited to see him in the sense of I think he's going to be one of the best, and I want to see him shine. I'm excited to see what can this Florida team be if Graham Mertz is,
halfway.
If he's a B.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, I yes, both ways. Utah can beat Florida without Cam Rising, and Florida can absolutely also beat Utah.
I'll put it this way:
Cam Rising. Can Florida beat Utah with Cam Rising? Is it possible?
It's possible, but
of course it is, right?
Yeah. Look, again, they did it last year.
Right.
The problem is they had Anthony Richardson. They had one of the best offensive tackles in the country. Like they had pieces that are no longer there that were vital to their success. I don't think this year they can.
No.
I don't think so. If Cam Rising does not play, I'll put it this way. If Cam Rising doesn't play, Utah should win. Florida can win.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
I agree.
If Cam Rising plays, I love Utah to cover.
Me too. Me too.
I like if Cam Rising plays, I like Utah to win by two possessions or more.
Yeah. You got anything else?
Not for this
Big
week.
Game Boomer, by the way.
What'd you say?
That was from Big Game.
Yeah. That Big Game Boomer posed that question. Yeah, that's it for this week. Look, man, we're really trying to grow this channel. We just consolidated all of not consolidated because we split them up, but we had everything on one channel under Culture Media. We split them all up, so now we have our own channel. Really looking to get to a point where we can go live and have live shows consistently every week, 2, maybe 3 times a week. But we got to get a certain amount of watch hours to do that, or 1,000 subscribers. So if you like this show, please send it out. Let's get those subs up, and really appreciate y'all.